If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members.
Are back. I'm Chris Evan, the CEO of Survival Dispatch, joined tonight by nobody. It's Tuesday night. It's usually Khalid's night for the Command 11 sit rep. The other guys on my team have the night off. And I'm handling tonight's sit rep because Khalid is still recovering from being stabbed, but he's definitely moving in the right direction. The main topic tonight, though, is going to be Florida designating the Muslim Brotherhood and the Council on American-Islamic Relations as a foreign terrorist organization or organizations. But before we do that, let's jump into the conflicted question tonight. Apologies for the lighting too, by the way. Things are a little bit off here in my studio tonight. Anyway, if you're not familiar with this, conflictedthegame.com, this is 14 card decks. They have 14 card decks, all set in post-apocalyptic scenarios, most of which have some element of morality to the question, hence the name conflict. I'm going to read this off now. I'd like to see your answers in the live chat or the comment section down below, and I will answer this question myself at the end of the podcast. Derek's alternative lifestyle choice would have alienated Gordon before the collapse, but Gordon wasn't as discerning in the new world. Does gender or sexual orientation affect your perception of combat readiness? Why or why not? So that's definitely more like your typical conflicted question. So before we get into the main topic, I'm going to make a very short statement on today's events. It will be the one and only time I address this in a public forum. So Sarah Adams claimed today that I work with the Taliban or have profited off of her work. And this is false, reckless, and defamatory. I exposed a fake AI video of Hamza bin Laden from somebody that she has worked with for quite some time. And her accusations have zero evidence, but they've crossed a clear legal line. I don't collaborate with terrorists. I don't profit from her in any way. And I'm not going to let defamatory attacks stand. This matter is now in my attorney's hands, and God will sort it out like he always does. So with that being said, let's get into the exciting news out of Florida yesterday of Ron DeSantis naming Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR foreign terrorist organizations. So this is posted directly from his account. Florida has designated the Muslim Brotherhood and Council on American-Islamic Relations as foreign terrorist organization. Florida agencies are hereby directed to undertake all lawful measures to prevent unlawful activities by these organizations, including denying privileges or resources to anyone providing material support. As you can see, it's got a ton of views already, 4.2 million views. This is good news. I mean, if I think back to the early 2000s, we had dangling chads. We couldn't run elections to save our life. But somehow in 2.5 decades, we've managed to turn around and probably become the most staunch supporter of conservative values and our Constitution for that matter as well. So with that being said, let's move on to the next one here. Governor Ron DeSantis responds to CAIR National's lawsuit against the state of Florida. We welcome that, and there's a reason that he welcomes it. It's 1 minute and 27 seconds. We're going to watch the whole thing.
I welcome the lawsuit. First of all, I get roll out of bed anymore. Someone's suing us for it. It's like, some of it's just lawfare, right? But we welcome that. I mean, we did do the designation for both the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR. This is something that has been a long time coming. I know the federal government's now working in a similar direction. The legislature is working on statutory laws that are going to impact this area. So I think our executive order is kind of the beginning. I think you're going to see statutory codification of how we handle different terror designations. But I welcome the lawsuit, because what will happen is that will give the state of Florida discovery rights to be able to subpoena the bank records, to be able to do that. And honestly, it give us even more reason, I believe. And so this is something that I know our Attorney General is ready, willing, and able to be fighting on this. And so that's they have every right to sue, and then we're going to have a right to get the information that we need to make sure. But our agencies are on notice about how any of our programs or any of our operations are impacted or not impacted, and so the extent that they can be, then they're going to have a basis to be able to protect the people and the taxpayers from that. So I'd stay tuned there.
So as a Floridian and someone who voted for Ron a couple times, I can tell you I was greatly disappointed that he went with Paul Ryan and went against Donald Trump. He really has been, though, the best governor that I can remember ever here in the state of Florida. It's just too bad that he went down that path with the WEF. Essentially, Paul Ryan is very deep with the World Economic Forum. But with that being said, a little bit of funny ha-ha stuff. Can you imagine Donald Trump giving a press, conference like this with hair like Ron's got in this picture? I mean, was nobody there to say, hey man, run a brush through your hair, something like that? Anyway, all joking aside, let's move on to the next one here. You can't make this up. CAIR Florida holds a presser to denounce DeSantis for labeling them a foreign terrorist organization, and then brings in the National Lawyers Guild as character witnesses. NLG's International Committee employs Charlotte Cates, a leading figure in Samidun, a PFLP-linked outfit described as a terrorist front. If you're trying to beat the terrorism rap, maybe don't roll out your friends who literally put Samidun's leadership on your payroll. Let's have a listen to this presser.
Next, I'd like to call Mira with the National Lawyers Guild in Tampa.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name is Miranda Margolis. I'm an attorney with the Tampa Bay chapter of the National Lawyers Guild, and I'd like to briefly share a statement from NLG National. The National Lawyers Guild condemns Florida's unlawful and discriminatory designation of CAIR as a terrorist organization. This designation is without legal or factual basis and constitutes a dangerous escalation of anti-Muslim political rhetoric weaponized to suppress constitutionally protected advocacy and civil rights work. The governor does not have the legal authority to unilaterally declare any US-based nonprofit a terrorist organization. He is attempting to bypass federal jurisdiction and decades of legal precedent, which reserve such determinations for the US Departments of State and Treasury, notwithstanding the fact that federal designation mechanisms are also frequently weaponized for political repression. To Governor DeSantis, you do not have the authority to unilaterally declare any Americans or American institutions terrorist groups, nor is there any basis to level this smear against CAIR. This action is a political stunt.
I don't know about you guys, but I can't listen to that any longer. So clearly there's going to be a lawsuit or multiple lawsuits on behalf of CAIR and the Muslim Brotherhood, and bring it on. I mean, there was some big conference in Tampa, I don't know, sometime within the past couple of weeks, where they brought in these jihadis from around the world. And it was unbelievable that they could host a conference on our land and basically promote the idea of, terrorist activities, jihadi activities against us here in the homeland. It's absolutely disgusting. Chris, appreciate the support as usual. In case you didn't get the message, you're not allowed to use the word retard anymore. Although Donald Trump did say that he was bringing the word back, right? So anyway, moving on from there. Saudi Arabia funds CAIR and USA to support terrorism as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis designates CAIR as foreign terrorist organization. Saudi Arabia continues to serve as the capital of international terrorist financing, including the 9/11 Al-Qaeda planes operation. Through groups such as the Muslim World League, the International Islamic Relief Organization, and the Al Haramain Islamic Foundation, as well as through Islamic affairs bureaus at Saudi embassies and consulates worldwide, Saudis continue to fund radical Islamic groups that support or engage in international terrorism. And I mean, the picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Look at some of the people on here. The Saudi king, Fahad, the other Saudi king, Salman. And then you've got King Abdullah, Prince Naif, Osama bin Laden, Prince Bandar, and Prince Turk, something or other. End of his name's cut off, and I don't recall what his full name was. All right, moving on to my home state of Texas and my very good friend, Lieutenant Colonel Doc Pete Chambers, who's running for governor of Texas. Good post by Doc here. There's a new governor en route, Texas. I've been in Pakistan. It is not Texas. There's no culture there that will assimilate to Texan culture. We will not allow this on our watch, full stop, Doc. So he reposted this one from Amy Mack, Media Blackout, everyone buzzing about how the Winooski School District in left-wing Vermont raised the Somalian flag. But almost no one wants to talk about something even more shocking. Red State, Texas, just allowed the Pakistani flag of persecution, to fly on American soil. Yes, Texas. The flag of forced conversions, the flag of stolen daughters, the flag under which churches burn and minorities disappear. And our leaders said nothing. Picture this. You're a Christian, Hindu, or Sikh in Pakistan. Every day is a countdown. Your church or temple could be torched by a mob at any moment. Your home could be seized with one accusation of blasphemy. Your daughter, even at 12 or 13, can be kidnapped, forcibly converted, married to her abductor, and the courts will call it lawful. This isn't a glitch in the system. This is the system, state-sanctioned religious apartheid. So you flee for your life. You come to America, to Texas, a state that promises freedom, faith, and American sovereignty. And then you look up and see the same flag that flew over your terror, now raised in the Lone Star State. That green crescent doesn't symbolize diversity. It symbolizes the blasphemy laws, terror networks, child marriage, and the crushing of every non-Muslim minority. So the question becomes, why is Texas flying the banner of a regime that destroys Christians, Hindus, Sikhs, women, and children? Why are our elected officials rolling out the red carpet for a government built on persecution? And where are the America First conservatives who promised to defend our cultural sovereignty? Because let's be brutally honest, when the Pakistani flag raises over Texas, that is not inclusion. It is ideological penetration, Islamic soft power, and creeping conquest. If this can happen in Texas, it can happen anywhere. And if we don't call it out now, we will wake up one day to find that symbols of our enemies have quietly replaced the symbols of our nation. Unbelievable. But at the end of the day, the way Texas goes, that's the way the country ends up going. So from Mega Queen, it's about time. You know, this Muslim Brotherhood conference just happened in Tampa, right? Tampa conference begins tomorrow. So this was November 27th. Join us on site or online. These people here, these two in particular, have been preaching jihad against America and Americans for a very long time. I don't know how you can look at this as anything other than, sedition. There's no other way that I think you can categorize it. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Actually, before I go too deep on this one, I saw somebody in the comment section say something about, boots on the ground trump somebody on a keyboard. Yes, that's absolutely correct. You know who has boots on the ground? My business partner, Khalid Muhammad. And it's his boots on the ground that everybody's been relying on. It's his team that's infiltrated over 80 of 125 terrorist camps in Afghanistan. So thank you for pointing that out. Boots on the ground absolutely matter. And they're on my team. So take that for whatever it's worth. Moving along to the next post from Amy. She's a machine. She cranks a lot of information out. Like a lot of information out. So alert Florida, red state Islamization. Florida went first. Before Houston's George Bush Airport made headlines for building a Sharia compliant Islamic prayer complex. That's coming up, by the way. Orlando International Airport had already quietly spent $250,000 of your tax dollars to build gender segregated Islamic prayer rooms fully equipped with wudu stations for ritual washing, separate spaces for men and women, directional signage to help Muslims face Mecca, shoe and luggage racks, just like a mosque. That's right. A mini mosque inside a Florida airport funded by you. Meanwhile, no synagogues in Saudi airports, no churches in Islamabad, no Hindu shrines in Tehran. But in America, we build exclusive Sharia prayer rooms for travelers from regimes where a Jew praying in public could be arrested. This isn't diversity. This is civilizational surrender. While Islamic nations criminalize public Christian or Jewish worship, the U.S. is embedding Sharia infrastructure into our public spaces, and the red states are falling for it. This is not tolerance. This is ideological submission. And it's exactly what the Muslim Brotherhood laid out in their plan to destroy Western civilization from within. One prayer room at a time, one terminal at a time, one state at a time. So I'll also mention that Khalid has gathered intel on mosques in America, in buildings like hospitals, for example, that absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts have weapons caches in them, but nobody can inspect it. Nobody can get in. This is including in hospitals, for crying out loud, like I just said, where nobody on the hospital side of the equation can gain entry to these protected spaces. Just imagine how that's going to go over if and when those particular hospitals are sieged by jihadis. I mean, it's what on earth are we doing? All right, next one up. I'll definitely get in touch with them, but it won't be to thank them. I want to know how much money they've been paid by CAIR to sell their souls, and more importantly, to turn my beautiful state into a shithole. I also want to know if they agree with the founder of CAIR's intentions. This is the free state of Florida, not the Muslim state. CAIR founder Omar Ahmad. Islam isn't in America to be equal to any other faith, but to become dominant. The Quran, the Muslim book of scripture, should be the highest authority in America, and Islam, the only accepted religion on earth. Yeah, okay, good luck with that. So in a similar vein, not directly related to Florida, but still quite revealing, Ilhan Omar in 2024, the U.S. government will not only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do, they will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders. Sounds a lot like treason to me, says Christian Collins, and I agree. This is 36 seconds long. I have a really hard time listening to this pig Latin. You might want to turn the volume down if it aggravates you. I guarantee you that my watch is going to be set off by this. 36 seconds. My answer to Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. We Somalians must have that confidence in ourselves that we all call for the shots in the U.S. We live in the U.S., pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. The U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress to represent your interests. For as long as I am in the U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters, Indian Ocean, will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. The U.S. would not dare to support anyone against Somalia to steal our land or oceans. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interests of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. And that's the end of that. I got to do a quick audience poll here. Are there any other Gen Xers or maybe baby boomers out there who, when they hear that, think of Eddie Murphy doing the humana hakama hunka ha routine that he did? I can't remember if it was Delirious or Raw. It was one of the two. But every time I hear that pig Latin, that's the first thing that crosses my mind. So if that humana hakama crap reminds you of Eddie Murphy, put a 1 in live chat. If it doesn't, go ahead and put a 0. It won't hurt my feelings, but that's what comes to mind for me. Just brutal, to be quite honest. All right, moving on to the next one. And you know what? We've got a fairly short episode tonight because I had a pretty crazy day. I've been working 18, 19, 20-hour days. So, for example, Saturday morning, I was up at 0500 testing antennas and HF rigs. I shut it down at 0100. I was back at it at 0600 the next morning. I shut it down at 2300 Sunday night. Then I had another long day today and yesterday, and I did not have all of the time to put together a proper Command 11 sit rep like we usually do on Tuesday nights with Khalid, but he should be back soon. He is on the mend, and you'll get the full Monty at that particular point in time. So with that being said, this is actually the Carnival Hero of the Night. So no surprise because I put it up now, but I got to do the thing. 3, 2, 1. I still love doing that. Absolutely love doing it. This is incredible short video here. The next time that you hear somebody slinging mud at cops, especially white cops, bookmark this. Show them this video. A hero police officer saves the life of a young man. A truly heart-touching moment. 48 seconds. And I'll tell you what, if that is not a real American hero, I don't know what is. Fantastic job. All right, next one up actually is a little bit longer. This is the reader submitted story of the day from Tim Machine. He's Tim Machine, Tim Smith, who is an absolute machine at this stuff in our Guardians chat. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes. But from Benny Johnson, why did Ilham Omar marry her brother? Because in Somalia, inbreeding is encouraged as part of their culture. Inbreeding rates of 60%, child brides, mass female genital mutilation, 58% of the population is illiterate, economy based on piracy and fraud, Sharia law, and bloody tribal warfare. So for those of you who have been with me for a while may recall that I mentioned how all of the major AIs accused me of being racist because I asked them, I said, why does everybody from Somalia look the same? So they all started by saying I was being racist by pointing that out. And then they all turned around and said, well, you know, Somalia has more homogeneity than any country in the world, somewhere in the range of 85 to 90%. That means that 85 to 90% of the population are inbred, not 60% like Benny just said there. The irony just couldn't be lost on me. And I did play it in one of our showed it, pardon me, I should say, in one of our prior podcasts. This is a little bit longer video. It's 4 minutes and 25 seconds. I don't usually play videos that long, but I think because we've got such a short sit rep tonight, I'm probably going to let this whole thing roll. Here we go.
Omar knew what was going on here and maybe profited off it?
Yeah, Rob. So let's take a step back and ask a question. Why do we import any Somalis to America? If you look at Somalia as a nation, you can plainly see that this country is not going to be compatible with Western civilization. Now, you asked about Ilhan Omar marrying her brother. That's horrifying. Being inbred is a very bad thing in Western civilization. It's not what you want to do. There are horrible genetic results. It can really collapse your gene pool. It's immoral in our culture. But in Somalian culture, Rob, up to 50% of the tribes are inbred. That's first and second cousin marriages. The coefficient there is one of the highest rates of interfamily marriages in the world. Also, some of the highest rates of child brides in the world. One of the highest rates of female genital mutilation on earth is from Somalia. One of the highest rates of polygamy and tribal warfare and fraud and piracy, all from Somalia, Rob. So you need to ask the question, wait a second, who decided that this was a good culture to bring here? Here's my test, Rob. My test is the people are the nation. So it's not like you're just bringing over a bunch of Americans, you're bringing over Somalia. So let's say you were to take Somalia as a place and make it a 51st state. Would you want to visit that state? Is that a place you'd want to go?
No, I don't want to visit Somalia. Yeah, it's like spring break Somalia. Would you do that now? It's been a failed state since Bill Clinton, and people think this is exclusive to just Minnesota. It's not. I don't know if you've seen this, but this is Winooski, Vermont, which is like 25 miles outside Burlington, Vermont. It's like 25 miles from the Canada border. Here they're raising the Somali flag. Again, this is Winooski, Vermont. Take a look. No sense to me. Benny, can I ask you, so Democrats love to say that no one's above the law, but they never mention illegal aliens, drug cartels, terrorists, felons, Somalians who are breaking the law. Why is that?
Well, again, it is part of their culture. You have an entire failed state where the culture is fraud and piracy. Now, here's how the food fraud worked, because I think that people have lost just how simple this was. Restaurants in Somali neighborhoods in Minneapolis claimed they were feeding people during COVID. Those were ghost meals. Those meals never happened. They were able to pocket all of the money through a program. Rob, where's that program come from? Well, it was called the Meals Act. It was passed in 2020. Who was the author of that bill? Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar created the vehicle for the mass billions of dollars of fraud in the community. And it's not a coincidence that the vast majority of the restaurants had a connection to Ilhan Omar. The people who were now federally indicted for this fraud were close allies of Ilhan, worked on her campaign, donated to her campaign. That's how she gets $30 million. She writes the program. Her friends benefit from it, and then they donate to her campaign, bags of cash. We know they were already funding Muslim terrorism back in Somalia the same way.
It's unbelievable. And I hope the administration, the vast majority of Somali immigrants in this country right now, we looked this up today, Benny, they're on food stamps. Many are unemployed. Many don't speak the language. And those are just facts. Again, we're going to talk about facts. We're going to deal in facts. Okay, we're not trying to be cruel or unkind to anybody. We love immigrants. We love for them to be legal. But shouldn't there be, and again, I've got about 15 seconds, but some sort of assimilation program set up in this country for legal immigrants?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to tell you, man, I think that America's full. I would like to see net zero immigration for the rest of my life. We did this in the 1920s when Calvin Coolidge said there's just too much. We need a cooling off period because the nation is splintering. I think that's happening right now. The Somali problem in Minneapolis proves it.
Benny Johnson, great to see you tonight. Enjoy the podcast. We'll do it again soon. Thank you.
All right. So moving on from there, again, since we have a short sit rep tonight, I've got a funny haha one, kind of like chapter 3 used to be. And it's Instagram, which is kind of a pain in the butt because you can't, move the video around. So let me refresh this page and see if I can catch it all at the same time.
Just won a brand new Peterbilt tractor trailer and your own commercial driver's license. That's right. A shiny red rig with chrome to spare, plus the training and CDL to drive it anywhere in the country. Here it comes. Look at that beauty roll. You've just won a brand new Peterbilt tractor trailer and your own.
Oh my God. Funny, not funny. Not funny for the people who've lost their lives because of these illegals getting CDLs. But if you recall, quite some time ago, Khalid actually pointed this out as a major, major security issue, that you have these people in our country who hate our country, don't speak English, don't recognize street signs, given CDLs like they're, out of a Cracker Jack box, and then driving around our country and potentially loaded with Lord knows what kind of contraband, explosives, etc. All right, so moving on from there, the conflicted question of the night. Derek's alternative lifestyle would have alienated Gordon before the collapse, but Gordon wasn't as discerning in the new world. Does gender or sexual orientation affect your perception of combat readiness? Why or why not? So I'm going to say that as far as sexual orientation is concerned, I don't know that you could definitively say that makes somebody necessarily weaker on, the battlefield. And the reason I say that, somebody can correct me with the gentleman's name, but there was a white guy who was gay. He used to dye his hair pink and fight in the UFC. And was it Kimbo Slice, I think, famous street fighter, had his debut in the UFC in Orlando. And that's where this guy, I want to say his name was Seth something or other with the pink hair, absolutely kicked his ass. So you had Kimbo Slice, very muscular, very fit, just power punches. Then you got this gay guy who didn't look like he was in great shape. He wasn't, overly muscular or well-defined, but boy, howdy, could he throw a punch. He knocked Kimbo Slice out. So I don't know. I'm not saying I agree with the lifestyle, but I don't know that you could say if somebody's gay, therefore they're weaker on the battlefield. Now, beyond that, when it comes to this transgender baloney, absolutely. Transgenderism is a mental illness. It's been classified as a mental illness forever and a day. A study was released not too long ago. It was like a 10-year study, and it's concluded that almost every male over the age of 18 who decided to present himself as a woman was suffering from a condition called autogynephilia. And what that is grown men getting off, finding wearing women's clothing is erotic and turns them on. And I don't have to talk about all of the, shootings that have happened in the past few years by mentally ill transgenders. It's a mental illness. There's no other way to put it. And we can't have them on the battlefield. It's interesting. That's one of the first things that Trump and Pete Hegseth nuked, thankfully. So funny story. The reason I was included in the TV show that we were shooting in Tennessee was my stance on transgender men being mentally ill. So with that being said, I want to cover a couple quick things here before I let you all go. This is the website for wasatchwagyu.com. And I'm going to put it in the chat right now. These are the guys who make the best jerky in the world, bar none. I don't care what anybody said. Up until now, every bit of promotion that I've given these guys has been free because I'm not putting my name behind a product until I know for sure that it's a good product. And you're going to see stuff from Mike Glover and Keith Graves soon because we all agreed it is by far the best jerky we've ever had. Like, it's just nothing compares to it. So if you go to wasatchwagyu.com, use code SD15, S as in Sam, D as in David, you get 15% off. Awesome American guys. Next one is our primary sponsor. Always want to give them a shout out, but I got something to announce here as far as Christmas is concerned. Between now and December the 23rd, every $100 that you spend at carnival.com will get you a virtual raffle ticket. On December 24th, the guys at Carnival are going to draw 5 winners. And all 5 winners are going to get the same package. You're going to get free meat. You're going to get free Carnival swag. You're also going to get a lifetime Survival Dispatch News Guardian membership. And that, again, all 5. So you can think of it as 5 first place finishers. Now, in addition to that, we have our regular promotion that runs 24/7, 365 with Carnival. Every time you spend over $100 at Carnival, if you are an SDN Guardian on the annual plan, forward that email to us, support@survivaldispatch.com, and I will tack an additional 30 days on every time you do that to your SDN membership without charging you another penny. And last but not least, check these guys out here. So Megs and Company, they're not paying me. We're very early on in doing things with these guys. Here's a can of 556, and it's 62 grain, 3,020 feet per second. And that's a FMJ, but that's pretty smoking for 62 grain. But these guys, these are our people. And right now, Keith, who has pneumonia, Keith Graves has pneumonia, and Mike Glover and myself are all testing this ammo. And if it lives up to our expectations, which I highly suspect it will, these are very intelligent, well-heeled guys behind this company, then we will go full bore on them. But for the time being, if you go to megsandco.com and enter the discount code S as in Sam, D as in David, 10, you get 10% off. And by the way, let me back up just for a second. Other than recurring subscriptions, when you go to carnivalt.com, use the code EATMEAT, all one word, and you'll get 10% off. And there's always free shipping on all orders over $99. So the only last thing to cover is that if y'all head over to survivaldispatch.news and you're not already signed up as a Guardian, it's only $7.99 a month or $74.99 a year, which gets you 2.5 months for free. I'm going to tell you straight up, the biggest draws, we have 6 signal channels that have a massive volume of information. The Guardians chat alone gets on average 12,000 plus messages per week. It's hard to keep up with. It's kind of like a general chat. But we have a survival and prepping channel. We have a threat wire channel where we discuss security and intel bulletins. We have an SDENS channel, Survival Dispatch Emergency Notification System. So when we send out an emergency notification, it goes to your email, it goes to our Substack, it goes to the Signal channel, and if you have the POC link radios, it goes to them as well. It's kind of crazy that the emergency broadcast system went down last week in over 30 states. And here we are, little old Survival Dispatch, and we have 4 layers of redundancy, and we're looking at adding an additional layer of redundancy as well. And I'll also give you a little teaser here. December 24th, I will be announcing a pretty big deal for Survival Dispatch Guardians that is at no extra charge to them. We're going to offer a huge upgrade at no charge, and stand by for more details on that. I'll announce it December 24th. We'll soft launch it January the 1st. We're going to hard launch it theoretically on March the 1st, but it's a big, big deal. And back to Signal just for a sec, because I see I just got a message from somebody. Why do we use Signal? I've got 444,000 followers on my YouTube channel. I have 4,200 on my small YouTube channel. My small YouTube channel gets almost half the views that the one that has 444,000 on it. So we got tagged for about 1,300 gun videos on there. Once you've been identified, it will never come back. The suppression is absolutely brutal. I've had articles that are completely innocuous deleted by Patreon. I've been kicked off of Facebook. I've been suspended by X over the past year because I've said that people who committed treason deserve to face the maximum sentence. I won't repeat it or else I'll get kicked off again. So at the end of the day, Signal is not a platform. It's a messaging infrastructure, and nobody can censor you there. Nobody can throw you off unless you're doing something illegal or act like an asshole. Then we will take action. But it gives us a lot more safety and stability to get the information in your hands, because if you haven't heard me say this before, our mission is really simple. Dispatch information so our fellow Americans and friends of America can survive in these very dangerous times. That's it, full stop. So anything that gets us one step closer to achieving that mission, is a good deal. There are other things that you get with your membership. I'm not going to cover them and bore you to death, but I encourage you to check it out. survivaldispatch.news, $7.99 a month or $74.99 a year. And the advantage you get in the year, if you go buy Carnivalt and you send us receipts to support survivaldispatch.com, every time you buy over $100, you get another 30 days tacked onto your membership at no charge. So theoretically, if you sign up for the annual SDN membership and then you sign up for a subscription with Carnivalt, you'll never pay another penny ever again as long as you stay a customer of Carnivalt. So it's a pretty good deal all the way around. We will be back tomorrow night. And you know what? I closed the wrong dang window here. Give me 2 seconds, because for the life of me, I'm telling you, it's been a long few days here. Can't remember what episode we're covering tomorrow night. Jeff and Randy will be back, and Khalid will be back here soon. Okay, so tomorrow night, regular time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Next episode in our Long War series, Energy Wars, the struggle for fuel dominance. So battles over oil, gas, rare earth minerals, all these things, which will then in turn destabilize global markets and potentially U.S. access. So I picked a really long closing video tonight. It's over 9 minutes long. And I did that because, again, we have a relatively short episode tonight. 41 minutes is very short in the SDN world. So between now and tomorrow night, do me a favor, please like, share, comment, subscribe. God bless America, and enjoy the 9+ minute closing video.
Attention all you rule breakers, you misfits and troublemakers, all you free spirits and pioneers, all you visionaries and nonconformists. Everything the establishment has told you is wrong with you is actually what's right with you. You see things others don't. You are hardwired to change the world. Unlike 9 out of 10 people, your mind is irrepressible, and this threatens authority. You were born to be a revolutionary. You can't stand rules because in your heart you know there's a better way. You have strengths dangerous to the establishment, and it wants them eliminated. So your whole life you've been told your strengths were weaknesses. Now I'm telling you otherwise. Your impulsivity is a gift. Impulses are your key to the miraculous. Your distractibility is an artifact of your inspired creativity. Your mood swings reflect the natural pulse of life. They give you unstoppable energy when you're high, deep soulful insight when you're low. Been diagnosed with a disorder? That's society's latest way to deny its own illness by pointing the finger at you. Your addictive personality is just a symptom of your vast, underused capacity for heroic creative expression and spiritual connection. Your utter lack of repression, your wide-eyed idealism, your unmitigated open mind. Didn't anyone ever tell you? These are the traits shared by the greatest pioneers and visionaries, innovators, revolutionaries, procrastinators, and drama queens, activists on the social scene, space cadets and mavericks, philosophers and derelicts, business suits flying fighter jets, football stars and sex addicts, celebrities with ADD, alcoholics who seek novelty, first responders, prophets and saints, mystics and JJJs. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all affected by the way. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all attracted to the flame. You know in your heart there's a natural order, something more sovereign than any man-made rules or laws could ever express. And this natural order is called the way. The way is the eternal substrate of the cosmos. It guides the very current of time and space. The way is known by some as the will of God, divine providence, the Holy Spirit, the implicate order, the Tao, reverse entropy, light force. But for now, we'll simply call it the way. The way is reflected in you as the source of your inspiration, the source of your passions, your wisdom, your enthusiasm, your intuition, your spiritual fire, love. The way takes the chaos out of the universe and breathes life into it, giving it divine order. The way, when expressed by the mind, is genius. When perceived through the eyes, is beauty. When felt through the senses, is grace. When allowed into the heart, is love. Most people cannot sense the way directly, but then there are the wayseers, the keepers of the flame. Wayseers have an unexplainable knack for just knowing the way. They sense it in their very being. They can't tell you why or how they arrived at the right answer. They just know it in their core. They can't show their work, so don't ask. Their minds simply resonate with the way. When the way is present, so are they. Are blind to it, and society begs you to ignore it. The way stirs you inside. Neurological repression blocks most people's awareness of the way. Censoring all thoughts and impulses from the unconscious is their prefrontal cortex, the Gestapo of the brain. Nothing which violates its socialized programming even gets through. But your mind is different. Your mind has been cracked wide open to the way by some miraculous genetic trait, some psychotropic chemical, or maybe even by the will of your own soul. Your brain's reward pathways have been hijacked. Dopamine employed to overthrow the fascist dictatorship of your prefrontal cortex. Now your brain is free of repression. Your mind free of censorship. Your awareness exposed to the turbulent seas of the unconscious. Through this open doorway, divine light shines into your consciousness, showing you the way. This is what makes you a wayseer. 90% of human civilization is populated with those whose brains are blocked to the way. Their brains are hardwired to enforce the social programming indoctrinated since birth. Unlike you, they cannot break out of this programming because they have not yet experienced the necessary revolution of mind. These programmed people take social institutions and rules very seriously. Society is full of games programmed to keep people's minds occupied so they will not revolt. These games often cause sick fixations on peculiar protocols, power structures, taboos, and domination, all subtle forms of human bondage. This distinct form of madness is not only tolerated by the masses, but insisted upon. The programmed ones believe in rules so forcefully, they become willing to destroy anyone who violates them. Wayseers are the ones who call their bluff. Since wayseer minds are free to reject social programming, wayseers readily see these social institutions for what they are, imaginary games. Wayseers comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Helping those who are lost in these games and refuse to help themselves is the calling of many wayseers. Since wayseers are the ones who keep contact with the original source of reality, they are able to disrupt societal conventions and even governments to realign humanity with the way. The wayseers are an ancient lineage, a kind of priesthood, carriers of the flame, ones in the know. There must always be wayseers to reform the dizzying, psychotic, spinning wheels of society. Giant, mindless hamster wheels obscuring the pure blue sky, keeping humanity shackled in a darkened cage. So wayseers are called to shed light on the madness of society, to continually resurrect the timeless, transcendent spirit of truth. Wayseers reveal this divine truth by devoting themselves to the birth of some creative or disruptive act, expressed through art, here. You found your tribe.